Welcome to Represent NYC on the Manhattan Neighborhood Network. My name is Victoria Bird. I'm the producer of this show. And today we're going to be talking about the COVID-19 pandemic and how it's affecting us all in different ways, and specifically women. New York has taken really strong steps to flatten the curve and halt the spread of the COVID-19 virus. But it's affected different people in different way and disproportionately so for women. And today we're going to have Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul, who's joining us to discuss this. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. So talk to me a little bit about how this outbreak has exacerbated the normal state of affairs for women.
I thought it was interesting as this was starting to unfold to realize that we really are relying on our healthcare workers to put on their uniform in the morning and to literally go into the front lines of this war. And you realize the fact that 76% of healthcare workers are women. And they're the ones many times leaving a child at home, a child that otherwise would be in school, or children that could have normally been watched by parents or grandparents, but because of social distancing and the need to protect older citizens, that's not available to them. So it really just ratcheted up the stress on families, particularly women-headed households, where who's watching the kids? And also just knowing that they go in and are concerned about their own health and safety and worried about whether they're going to bring something back to the children. So I think this is an opportunity for us to, first of all, show great honor to them and to show the respect that has been long overdue to these individuals who step up, leave their families, get on public transportation many times, walk into a building at their own risk, but are doing it because they're public servants, but more than that, they're compassionate people. And I think that the rifts in society where women are historically paid less and deal with sexual harassment and domestic violence and all these other issues really come to bear right now when we are in the heat of this battle. And I wanted to just make sure that we recognize the ones who are out there literally saving people's lives. And in terms of doctors, even 40 women, the majority of doctors under the age of 50 are women. So there's a lot of women. It's not just the nurses and the healthcare aides. A lot of these are doctors again. And again, they're taking care of their kids, trying to manage all that. And I think we owe them a debt of gratitude.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, think about all the professions that are women that are going to be just destroyed because of this. And just also being caretakers at home and single moms. You know, it's got to be. You wrote a beautiful op-ed on this. I think it was in The Hill that I read it, and it was very well put. I suggest people go read it. Tell me, how is the state trying to adjust for this?
And also, I do also want to point out, it's not just the healthcare workers. When we think about the people that have been hardest hit, the waitresses, the people who work in hotels and hospitality, and the ones who are still either lost their jobs or currently the ones in the kitchens making food for our carryout. Two-thirds of minimum wage workers are also women. So they're on the front line saving lives, the healthcare workers. On the other side, they're the ones most likely to be in the jobs where they don't have the luxury to stay home. They are considered essential. They're the cashiers in the grocery stores. They're the ones still working in the pharmacies. And so this is an opportunity for us to now, but also going forward, talk about how important paid sick leave is, for example, something that the state of New York just instituted in our budget. This should be a national policy. No person should ever have to go to work sick, particularly if they're in a field where they interface with the public or are in kitchens making food or waitresses serving them. And that's been the policy up until now. So I'm proud that in the state of New York, we got that over the finish line to allow people to stay home when they're sick. And that's been a point of contention for a long time, and we got it right in New York. But I'm calling on the rest of the nation to adopt this as well. So that's one thing we did. But also this whole—
When does that start?
That starts right away.
Great.
Another thing is childcare. And I've been co-chairing a task force uncovering for the last couple of years all the barriers to women advancing in the workplace and having opportunities for other jobs and longer hours or working the night shifts. It all comes down to who's watching their children. So this crisis has put a spotlight on this, and we've had to even put up pop-up childcare centers in healthcare facilities so the children of these essential workers are being taken care of because they're not in school and they can't be taken care of by parents. So these are conversations starting now in earnest. They've been going on for a while, but I think now there'll be a heightened intensity toward resolving this as we come out of this and get the economy going again.
So it was announced yesterday that there's a pact with states on the East Coast and New York to sort of like help launch that initiative to sort of start rebuilding and opening up and restoring the economy. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, and this is so important what Governor Cuomo launched in concert with our neighboring governors. He's first of all started with New Jersey and Connecticut because this really is the tri-state region where there's so much synergy. I mean, people live in one state, they work in the other, their kids may go to school here, and entertainment and watching sports activities, Broadway. So there's this incredible connection between this tri-state area. But we also invited adjacent states, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island, and Massachusetts, and Delaware, and others that are really connected to us as well, to say, as we find our way out of this, why don't we make sure that we have policies that are hopefully consistent, but at minimum are not inconsistent with each other. You don't want one state, you don't want New Jersey to open up before New York does, because then
Right.
people will just go to New Jersey for their meals or to have entertainment. And there's a lot of pent up demand. A lot of people are going to be anxious to get out the door. But as we restart the economy in phases, again, we have to caution that we are still at a plateau. We are still at a point where we cannot stop the social distancing. It must continue, or else we'll be right back where we started. And no one wants to see this bad movie replayed again. We have to get
Right.
it now. And that's why it makes sense to have a smart, cohesive strategy with our neighbors. And that's what was launched yesterday.
So, and that's really about flattening the curve. That's what you've talked about. I've seen you tweeting about that we've done it, but we don't want to sort of like create another swell, right?
And people say, what do you talk about the curve? Let me show you. The number of new cases, hospitalizations, new cases, and the death rate were just going up and up and up and up. And we thought they might hit an apex and they could either head right down or they would flatten. But the good news is, even when they flatten, and sadly they have flattened at a high level, there are still high number of people whose lives have been lost, and that's something we cannot overlook in these conversations, the personal tragedy, the human toll that this is taking. But at least we're not still going up again. We've stopped that trajectory upward. So now we can manage the flow inside our hospitals and the ICUs and have enough protective equipment and ventilators, and trying to restock now so we can handle this. But we have to be so smart right now, because if we get into a sense of complacency and stay, well, it sounds like the curve is flattened. The governor said the worst is over. He said the worst is over if we continue the social distancing, at least for now, until we have a chance to assess based on the numbers, the science, the data, and where we're heading, and make sure that this is one time only and we don't have to repeat this again.
Yeah, I want to just take the time to thank you too. Thank you and thank the governor for how you've really been leaders in this time. It's been very hard to find someone to look to feel that we're being taken care of, and I wanted to just thank you. And that also goes to sort of the next thing I want to talk about, the mental health of the trauma of this experience that we're all having. You wrote some really lovely stuff about that, and have talked about how the effect that it's having on all of us.
And no one's immune from this. And I don't care how tough you think you are. If for the first time in your life you lose your job, no fault of your own, but now you're at home, no income coming in, and there may or may not be children surrounding you, and then maybe a partner trying to work from home, and there's just this intense experience. Or on the other side, you're all alone. An older person who's used to getting visits and in-person interaction with kids and grandkids, and now they're isolated all alone just to protect them. But it still takes a toll on us as human beings. I just came off of Easter weekend, Passover weekend, and I was really sad not to see my children who I normally would have celebrated with. So we have an emotional health hotline that I want everyone to know. There is no stigma associated with just picking up that phone. If you wake up someday and say, I just can't get out of bed, I just can't do this again, it's too overwhelming, I don't know where to turn, pick up the phone, and there's someone who cares and wants to help you. We have over 8,000 people who volunteered, healthcare professionals, mental health professionals, who will just talk you through the day, help you with coping strategies. But social distancing does not mean we have to be physically distant, but not socially disconnected. And that's why technology has been such a gift for people, even on their cell phones, to use FaceTime and just call people you haven't talked to in a long time. I started doing that late at night. You have old friends from college, and find a way to have that human connection to help get you through this. And don't be hard on yourself. Other people are saying, well, this is the time you have to learn a new language. You should take advanced classes. You know what? cut yourself some slack. You don't have to clean every drawer in your house and every room in your house has to be scrubbed. Just understand this is a once in a lifetime, hopefully unprecedented experience, but it is a national moment. It's a communal experience because we are all going through this together, just as we experienced 9/11 and came through stronger and more appreciative of each other and appreciative of every day that we've been given. And I think that's the attitude that New Yorkers have. We are tough, but we're also compassionate and we look out for each other. And that's what's going to get us through.
Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul, thank you so much for joining us.
All right. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.